Good afternoon. I'm very happy to join this CEIBS Third Europe Forum 2017 in Munich to talk about the financial model innovation in the context of Belt and Road Initiative. This initiative has been put forward since 4 years ago from simply an idea to getting the support from the mass, from a top-down design to implementation of different projects. We have achieved a lot of results. Last November, on the fifth meeting of government heads between China and the Central Eastern Europe countries, China Central and Eastern Europe Financial Holdings Limited and its fund were announced to establish. And next, according to the theme of today's forum, I would like to share with you some of my viewpoints. First is the word collaboration. How do we understand the Belt and Road Initiative from the collaborative perspective? Previously, our distinguished guests have alluded to the rise of some protectionism. So here I would like to introduce a Chinese word to you, which means 和. 和 in Chinese implies mutual understanding, friendship, and win-win. So the Belt and Road Initiative put forward by President Xi Jinping of China is not just a claim of a benefit only for China. This is a shared value proposition by all the parties involved. This is not some political alliances of regions or countries. This is a strategic wisdom to maintain the world peace, complement advantages and collaboration. So this is a philosophy and attitude of openness, inclusiveness, and cooperation. Just now, Professor Prodi has credited China and its policy. Actually, if we throw back to 40 years ago, next year we will celebrate the 40th anniversary of a great leaders and its great policy reform and opening up. At that time, Deng Xiaoping has pointed out a clear direction for China to go. If we go back to 40 years ago, at that time, a GDP of China only 64.5 billion RMB, 10th in the world, 1.8% of the world GDP. Per capita GDP in 1978 was only 381 RMB. Urban residents per capita disposable income 343 RMB. In 1978, the total export plus imports was only 35.5 billion US dollars, less than 1% of the world. Foreign exchange reserve 200 million US dollars. According to the poverty standard in the rural area of 1978, China then had 770 million people, impoverished people in the rural area, so the impoverishment rate was 97.5. Now, after 40 years of reform and opening up, last year, China's GDP 74 trillion RMB, a factor of 202 times, second in the world. 15.1% of world GDP, 13.3 percentage points higher than that of 1978. Per capita GDP 53,817 RMB. Of course, this is still not very high. So just now, Professor Prodi said that he is not believing in China as being a developing country, but if you look at per capita GDP, it is still developing. China last year had a foreign reserve more than 3 trillion US dollars, number one in the world. In the urban area, per capita disposable income 33,616 RMB, and we have 43.35 million as impoverished population, a reduction of 94.4%. Impoverishment rate 4.5%, 93 percentage points less than 1975. But China has a very big population base, so there's still way to go. In 2015, total export-import of China 3.95 trillion, accounting for world trade 11.9%. The biggest exporter and the second largest importer in the world. In 2013, China surpassed the USA to become the largest trade country in the world, a position that the USA held for more than half a century. So thanks to the reform and opening up policy of China, we have achieved amazing results in the last 4 decades. This is an unprecedented development story, not only in China but in human history. However, we recognize that the globalization development is not problem-free. We have to overcome challenges before we see the bright future. Throw back to the 30 years ago in China, since I've always been in the banking industry, so I witnessed with my own eyes that a lot of foreign companies, including German companies, when they entered into China's market, they had very advanced technologies, so they produced great products. But consequently, a lot of domestic manufacturers in China had to close down, facing such foreign competition. However, China didn't adopt the protectionist policy. We didn't just stop there. We are motivated and stick to the policy of reform and opening up. After 4 decades, China has attracted how many JVs and WFIs that you know? 830,000 JVs and WFIs. We've attracted foreign direct investment more than 1.6 trillion US dollars. So China is always holding an open attitude, learning, working together, and innovating with our partners. Now China is the biggest trade country, biggest manufacturer in the world, second largest outbound investment country, and the third largest inbound FDI country. So this is the magic of reform and opening up. The secret for China's success is holding to peace, development, collaboration, win-win, and actively participating in globalization. We open the markets on multiple fronts at multiple levels, and we give market the dominant position in allocating the resources. Undeniably, today's world is still facing a lot of challenges. For example, the disparity between the rich and the poor, regional differences, geopolitics, cultural conflicts, and of course, the global financial crisis has hurt a lot of countries, so they are now in an economic recession, weak recovery, increase of the unemployment, extremism, and populism are rising. We have to face those challenges, but those challenges can only be addressed with at the same time that we keep globalization. We need governments, corporations, and people from all around the world join hand in hand, develop a vision, and collaborate together to promote a healthier development of the economy. Unfortunately, some countries are still adopting the protectionism policies as a way for their politicians to divert people's attention and to release their political pressures. So, selective tariff policy, trade barriers, industrial standards, investment censorship, and all other kinds of implicit or explicit populism measures are happening. Actually, this anti globalization, trade protectionism, and investment protectionism is a double-edged sword. You are retaliating, you are playing games with others. While you are stopping others from coming in, you are also stopping yourself from going out. When we are still in the global economy is still in a weak recovery, it's very difficult to say those short-sighted wrong measures and their consequences will cause a big danger to the global economy. Take a look at of Germany. Germany is the biggest trade partner for China in Europe, and it is for China the sixth biggest trade country in the world. China is the fourth largest export market for Germany. In 2016, bilateral trade 162.6 billion US dollars. Germany export to China 83.51 billion US dollars, increase of 7%, accounting for 6.5% of the total export of Germany. And Germany to China's surplus 8.02 trillion US dollars, up by 54.3%. According to the statistics of China MOFCOM, in last year, China investment to Germany 2.945 billion US dollars, investment stock 8.827 billion US dollars, and from German side, increased FDI projects into China, 392 projects. In 2016, China has accelerated its outbound investment to Germany, and there are some M&A cases in which Chinese companies acquiring a German company causes some tension in the political area. But from those facts and data, you will see that those trade and investment protectionism against China do not make sense. In Europe, we know that Central and Eastern Europe is in recovery, and they are more willing to work together with China to hold an open, inclusive, collaborative attitude. So, Belt and Road Initiative proposed by China, but cannot be successful without the joint effort by other companies, government, and the population along the Belt and Road. Secondly, how can we look at the new opportunities brought by the initiative? There is one saying in China: collaboration gives us mutual benefits, connectivity leads to win-win. So we understand that every country or company has its own comparative advantage. For example, most of the European countries boast their comparative advantages in the areas like education, science, technology, culture, health, tourism, and sports. While on the China side, we have a huge market, and we have accumulated some experiences in infrastructure, large equipment projects, construction projects, nuclear power, and high-speed train. For example, our high-speed train mileage has already reached 220,000 kilometers, and China is the largest producer for more than 200 industrial products, including steel and automotive. In recent decades, there is a huge significant change in the global economic pattern. We see the emergence of some new markets. Now I'm the chairman of China, Central and Eastern Europe Fund. So I would like to give a focus on this region, or we call it a CEE region. It is an emerging market key area for Belt and Road Initiative. CEE, it can work as a regional pivot or hub. In this initiative, it has a huge potential of markets, a very dynamic economy. And in recent years, China has deepening its collaboration with the CEE countries with more trade and investment bilaterally. Last year, the total trade volume with the CEE reached 58.65 billion US dollars, while growth 9.5% and accounting for 10% of China's trade to Europe. After the Cold War, EU countries has a close collaboration with the CEE countries in politics, economy, foreign affairs, trade, and culture. China's Belt and Road Initiative is not the one to replace someone or to exclude someone. Instead, we want to connect the developed European economy and together with the dynamic Asian economy so that we complement each other, we can integrate the resources and to give an indigenous engine driving force to countries' growth and also to close the gap between the rich and the poor. So in CEE region, Belt and Road Initiative is regarded as a historical opportunity, and it is the project for the 21st century. Thirdly, how can we innovate and promote the implementation of Belt and Road projects? I think fund or capital flow is the key. So currently, Chinese banks have set up a lot of subsidiaries in CEE region like Poland, Czech Republic, and Hungary, and also People's Bank of China has signed a currency reciprocal agreement with many CEE countries. China, starting from this year, officially joined EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And on the other side, Germany, France, and many other European countries are the founding members for AIIB, the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. So recently, we have achieved a lot in financial innovation projects. Just like the fund that I am leading, it is an important pilot project to support Belt and Road projects by providing innovative financial mechanism. In 2016, the cross-border capital flow was only 1/3 of that in 2007 due to the financial crisis. On the contrary, the political environment in CEE countries is very stable. They have a well-established legal and regulatory system. However, their cross-border FDI and the capital market are still at the infant stage. Not many international equity investors are looking at this region. So for the companies in that region, they usually don't have limited access to capital. ICBC is the biggest bank in the world. According to Forbes, top 2,000 companies, ICBC is number 1. While China CEE Fund is a fund that is operated according to the market rule, and we are focusing on providing comprehensive solution of combining investment plus investment bank plus commercial bank to realize a virtuous cycle for regional market development and value creation. To give you some number, in the future, China's CEE fund will reach 10 billion euros size, and we plan to mobilize another 50 billion euros of capital. We will bring capital to CEE region. Not only that, we're also bringing Chinese partners to help CEE products and service to enter into Chinese markets. Currently, CEE countries R&D and investment spending, innovation spending is only 1.2% of its GDP. It's lower than the EU average. In this regard, a lot of Chinese companies can do joint R&D with CEE counterparts, especially in e-commerce, tourism, digital technology, and telemedicine. Ancient Chinese wisdom: man is an integral part of nature. So we as human beings have to live harmoniously with the great nature. And when we do things, we have to follow the nature's law and laws in the society. So as an official fund, we not only pursue the economic return, we pay more attention to labor relationship, product safety, and other social responsibilities. Currently, we are in the first round of fundraising. It is going very smoothly, and we develop a pipeline of a bunch of investment projects in the infrastructure, industrial manufacturing, and mass consumption area. A lot of CEE companies and financial institutions are showing their interest in investing into the region. We want to build a blue ocean for the region. Last but not least, Belt and Road Initiative is a systematic project. We need to have a collective wisdom from all parties. We are more than happy to create extensive partnership with European countries, especially CEE region. Thank you very much.